Okay, welcome to our Know How Nordonia session. Tonight we will be going over a Google add-on tool. It's actually two called Doctopus and Goobrics. And we're going to talk a little bit about different ways you can use them. It's super easy to use it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. If for some reason you can't see something or I'm going too fast, just shout and I will slow down. First off, I put together this little slide presentation, which I will put on the Nordonia Tech Weebly, that really kind of lays out the basics of it. But first, I wanted to go over some Google Classroom updates. Ladies, did you hear about the two updates that they did over the, I think it was last week?
I did.
Okay, cool. So the first one is the co-teacher option. So that was much, much needed, I think, especially for those of us that had a special education teacher working with us or that had an intervention teacher or something. It was really important. So now you can, under the, I believe it's the About tab or the Students tab, you can actually invite a teacher to join, and they will have the same sharing privileges and viewing privileges and commenting as the teacher that set up the actual classroom, which is really good. The other option that they've added is a draft assignment or announcement option, which is really, really a good one because a lot of teachers wanted to set up assignments and have them ready to go but didn't want to post them until a certain time. So now teachers have that option to make a draft assignment and save it, and then when they're ready to post it, they can just pull it up and post it.
That's good.
So those are two new updates with Google Classroom. Okay, so some basic definitions before we get started. First, Doctopus. This is actually a Google Sheet add-on, which, remember, an add-on is a third party, which means it is actually not a Google product, but it works with Google. And what it does is it allows you to set up sharing options with multiple users. So before Google Classroom, teachers would use Doctopus to share out an assignment, to give every student a copy of the assignment. But now that we have Google Classroom that does it for us automatically, we really don't have a need for Doctopus in the classroom because we have it with our G Classroom, but we do need Doctopus to work with Goobrics. So just keep that in mind. And Goobrics is a Google extension. So what it is it is a third-party extension, and it actually runs up at the top on your URL toolbar, and it's always running. And you'll notice that once you add the Google or the Goobrics extension, you'll see this little icon that's up here in the right hand of the screen, and that is your Goobric icon, and that will actually always be running whenever you're within your Google Drive. So you will see that. So that's how you know the difference between an extension and an add-on. An extension is always running when you open up Google Drive. And for an add-on, it's actually just added on to Google Sheets or Google Docs or that type of thing. And Dawn and Robin, if you are coming to our May 5th Professional Development Day, there's a whole session on extensions and add-ons and all that good stuff. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
So Goobrics is an extension, and you add it to your Google Chrome account. And what it is it's an electronic rubric tool that syncs with any Doctopus assignment. And we will show you how to go through that this evening. Evaluations in Goobric can be completed quickly, and the results can be easily shared with your students. So thanks to Doctopus and Goobrics working together, the rubric is uploaded into Google Sheets, and then it's added and viewable to the assignment by the individual student, including the feedback that you, the teacher, give them and the grade. And then, as normal, teachers can still leave comments within the document, but this just actually attaches the rubric to the assignment. So the very first step to do this is you're going to want to make a rubric. And you're going to create a rubric in Google Sheets. And my advice, and I always have this advice, is to create kind of a blank template for your rubric so you're not always reinventing the wheel. And especially if you teach English language arts or you're teaching a certain content area and you have kind of the same setup for what you're looking for in your rubric and just have that ready to go. and have that ready in your Google Drive in a separate folder. Maybe it's called Rubrics or something. That way it's easy to find. Now, as part of Doctopus, you need to have a rubric that has a certain format. Okay, and there's basically 3 main rules for a rubric. The first one is the A1 field has to be empty. The categories are going to be your vertical columns, and your horizontal rows are going to be your numeric scores. And I have uploaded an example of a rubric here. And actually, I'm not going to click on it. I'll show it to you when we actually upload it into Doctopus, so you'll see it. But those are your basic rules. If for some reason it doesn't have this, it will not upload correctly. So you want to make sure that that A1 field is empty. So step 2 is that you're going to post your assignment in Google Classroom just as normal. It does have to be an assignment. It cannot be an announcement. And you want to make sure that you have the students complete and submit it just as they normally would. Also, just note that you can start grading as soon as they start coming in. So you do not have to wait until all the students have turned in the assignment to run the Goobric. You can actually just kind of grade, it will actually catch the ones that have not been graded, and you can search through that through actually just one click of a button. Step 3 is then within Google Sheets, and I'm actually going to walk you through this so you'll see it, but I just wanted to verbally talk to you about it. Within Google Sheets, you're going to add the Doctopus add-on, and this is a one-time only thing. Once you have this add-on, it is in your Google account. You never have to worry about that again. Then you're going to click on the add-on tab, and then Doctopus, and then you're going to follow the steps and upload the rubric. And the term that Doctopus uses when it's working is called an ingest. So you wanted to ingest the Google Classroom assignment, and you're going to select the class that you want it to grade and then the assignment. And it actually just walks you through these steps through drop-down menus, which is really easy. But that's the key word that they use is ingest. So what it does is it basically takes that whole assignment and all the students' work, and it ingests them into one Google Sheet. So here's kind of what it looks like. I apologize, it is a little blurry, but I wanted to make it large enough so you could see it. So when it ingests an assignment, this is what it does. It basically takes the different student accounts and it creates a link for each of their assignments. So this demo account number 3, this is the assignment that went with it. Okay, and it puts it all in one Google Sheet for you. Over here on the right is the actual add-on of Doctopus, and you will see that after you ingest it, you get this screen, and then after that you're going to click this Attach Goobric, which is the next step. So once you click Attach Goobric, it will then walk you through the steps of installing the extension, which is just a one-time only thing. Once it's installed in your Google account, it's there. And then the second thing it's going to do is it's going to authorize that you use it, which is just a typical thing that happens with those third-party extensions. It wants to make sure that you're authorizing it. And then once you do this, you're good to go for the future. And then again, you're going to see this little Goobric eye. I call him Gooby. That's my name. That's not a Google name. I named him Gooby. So you're going to see Gooby up in your URL bar, and you can click on him, and he will then supply you with the rubrics. So once you have that, you're going to click on the links, which I'll show you again. So you'll click on that link column one at a time. And then what you will do is you will see that that rubric that you have uploaded is added up at the top of that student work, which is kind of cool. And then from there, you can just click on the eyeball, and then you just get grading. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It actually now is more, I think this image is from the earlier version. Now it just goes all the way across the top, kind of more horizontally. And what's nice, this is the Goobric, and then you can actually score it. And you can even score it with a 0.5. So if it's in between a 1 and a 2 and you want to do a 1.5, you can. And this is a very simple rubric, I will note that. And then you even have a comments box. And what's really cool is then once you enter this information and click submit, this rubric then actually embeds itself within the student assignment. So from a student perspective, when they open this document up, they will see the rubric, they will see your grades, and they will see the comments. Which I think is a really cool feature because it's actually within there. So what if a student turns in a late assignment in Google Classroom? Or what if they're sick and they weren't able to do it on time? Well, when you run the Doctopus Doctopus add-on, you will see that there's a blue button that says look for new submissions. And what that button will do is it will actually search ones that you have not graded yet, and it will pull them up. So then you know you need to grade them. Now there are some limitations of using Doctopus and Goobrics. I will tell you that. The first one is that it does not touch any sharing privileges. So if it's a group assignment and I don't know, for some reason you want to change it so that only you and one student can use it, you can't actually do that within Goobrics. You have to do that within the actual document within the Google Classroom. So it doesn't really do anything with the sharing. It's still very basic. Whoever the student initially shared it with is who gets to see it. Also, you cannot see student assignments that haven't been launched from a template or standalone. So basically what this means is that if they haven't submitted it, you can't see it. So they actually have to turn in the assignment. The third thing to remember is that it does not submit rubric scores back into the Google Classroom. So instead of seeing the scores in the actual grade column that will pop up, that does not happen with this. You actually have to look at the Google Sheet and get the scores that way. However, there has been rumor of them coming up with something that will do that. It just hasn't been formally set up yet. And the other thing that this will not do is it does not return the assignments to the student. So you will have to go back into Google Classroom and return the assignment to them. It does not automatically set that up. And these limitations are really because of Doctopus and Goobrics being a third party. So it really has not 100% synced with Google Classroom. Our hope is that down the line it will. But again, it's not a Google product, so it's not set up to be 100% seamless, to work within that. So those are the basics. Do you guys have any questions about those?
Nope, not yet.
Nope.
Okay. Does it sound good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through the steps. I have a sample assignment just to kind of show you how it's going to work. So the very first thing you're going to do, so say you have an assignment and your students have started turning it in, and you want to get a head start and start grading some of them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to go into Google Sheets, and we're going to want to turn Doctopus on. So we're going to go to Google Sheets, so we're going to go to New and Google Sheets. You do not have to create anything ahead of time, except your rubric, of course. You're going to go to your add-ons, and I've already launched Doctopus. So if you don't have this added on, you're going to want to go to Get Add-ons, and you're going to want to add Doctopus. Okay, and it should be one of the first ones that pops up. It's right here. Okay, so once you do that, you're going to go to Launch. And down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see, but it says Working. Okay. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is it says Select Roster. Now, we have a Google Classroom assignment that we have. The other option you can do, if you don't want to use Google Classroom and you want to do something else, is you can set up a new roster. There's a lot of work you have to do ahead of this, though, because you have to actually set up your students and the links and all of that ahead of time. So because of Google Classroom, I highly suggest just set up everything in Google Classroom and do it that way to just save yourself time and energy. Okay, so then it's going to say select a class. And I actually created my own class for this demo to show all of you. I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to say, okay, now select assignment. So what assignment do you want to do? So I'm going to do Demo Sample 2. And so what it's doing now is it's pulling all of them in. Okay? And what we may have to do is actually number 1, because it looks like number 2, none of them have been turned in. So let's see number 1, because this, remember, the students do have to turn this in. So we'll just go ahead and do that one. So it says here, found 3 turned in files for this assignment and 1 not yet turned in. So there's still a student who has not submitted this to me. So what I'm going to do is just check only ingest files that are turned in. I'm going to click ingest. And then it's going to pull them all into one document, which is really cool. So what you see is that I have 3 students who have turned it in. These are their email addresses. And that is so that Goobrics can actually email them the grades. This is the name of the assignment. And then this is the actual link. Okay. Now before I actually start going into the actual documents, into the assignments, I want to attach my rubric using Goobric. So I'm going to go ahead and click Attach Goobric. Okay. And this is a recent rubric that I have uploaded. You can also go to, it will go to your drive, and then what you can do is then find it here. Okay, now to make it easy to find it, I put this as a rubric, but again, you can have a whole rubrics folder set up and ready to go with all the different rubrics you've created. And then I'm going to double click and I'm going to then attach it. So what it's doing is it's going to attach the rubric to each student's assignment. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you can always edit that if you want to change it, you can. You can also display average scores once you start grading. And then this is that look for new submissions box. So say you want to, so and so Susie just turned it in within this past 2 minutes. I can always have Doctopus go and look for that assignment again. There is a new feature too to add a co-teacher. So if you have a student teacher, or if you have an intervention specialist or another teacher in the room with you, or even an administrator, you can add them and they will be able to access these documents and grade as well. So what I'm going to do now is click on one of the links. So I'm going to click on John's. Okay. And this is one that I've actually already graded. So let me go ahead, let me do one I haven't graded yet. This is when I was experimenting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do Shannon's. What I'm going to do is I see my little Goobric icon there. I call him Gooby. So I'm going to go ahead and click on him. I don't have access. Why not? I wonder if they returned it back. All right, let's do this third one. Oh, I'm logged into my other Gmail. That might be part of the problem. Because I'm logged into my Gmail account, so it's confused. So what we will do, let me see. Well, I'm logged in. Has that ever happened to you guys when you're logged into like 5 million accounts?
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, wait a second. Okay, let's see. All right, what I'm going to go ahead and do is let me try to sign out. But I'm worried if I sign out, I'll lose you guys. That's the only thing. Let's try this again. Okay, so let me go back to my drive and try that. No. Okay. Well, what we will do let me see here if I can even show you. What I will show you real fast, just so you can kind of see what it looks like from a student perspective. We'll try that. So up at the top is where the rubric would be. This is the rubric that then embeds itself. And this is the score that I gave this student. So I gave John a 2, and then that grays it out. And what it does is it embeds itself right at the top of the paper. And then John's work would be at the bottom. And this is where I put my comment. So I put good work within there. So let me see if there's something else. What I'll also show you, because I told you guys I would show you, is this is the sample rubric. And you can actually search for these within your within Google. You can actually search for sample Goobric templates. And you can get a whole bunch, and then you can just actually copy them and add them to your Google Drive. So depending on what content area you want to use. So the A column is always going to be your categories, and then the horizontal are going to be your points. Now the way this rubric is it's 4, 3, 2, 1. You can also do 1, 2, 3, 4 the other way. That does not matter. So either one of those works. And then again, that A1 field has to be blank for that to run. So just keep that in mind. All right. So the one thing I'm worried about is if I sign out of my account, it will kick me off of this call. So I'll tell you what we can do. Well, that probably still won't work. And then the other thing to keep in mind is these will only work with school accounts, with Google Apps for Education accounts, because it works with Google Classroom. So to have Google Classroom, it will only work with, like we have our Nordonia schools account. So if you have someone with a personal Gmail account, this will not work because it has to be within Google Classroom. A lot of times we forget that because we're so used to working with the classroom. All right, let me try this one more time, and if it doesn't work, then we may have to just go back. Let's see if it would let me. Oh, goodness. Because I'm obviously signed in as Know How Nordonia. All right, let's try this. If it kicks me off, we're in trouble. All right. Nope. Okay. I don't think I'm going to get it to work, but up here is where the rubric would pop up. And let me go back to the actual slide. So instead of it being this little box, it actually goes clear across this column. And all it does is it looks just like this. And as you're grading, you just type them in. And then when you click submit, there's another button that you select whether you want it to email the students their grade or not. Because remember, this isn't going to actually return the assignment to the student. So just keep that in mind. So you'll still have to actually return the assignment, but they will get notification through their Nordonia Schools email account, which they'll need to check, that that you've graded it, and then they can click on it and actually take them back into the document and see the rubric, which I think is a really good way for them to kind of check their assessment and see how they did. So it's, I mean, once you get it, once you're logged into the right account, I should say, it's pretty self-explanatory. The other thing that they've added when they made this more horizontal up at the top is they actually made an arrow that you can just go on to the next assignment. So instead of having to go back to that Google Sheet and click on the link, you just go through the document. So if you're grading all 25 or 30 papers at one time, you can just go through the arrows and just grade them all in one swoop without having to go back to the Google Sheet, which is really nice. So that's kind of the basics. Do you guys have any questions?
No.
No? Have any of you used Doctopus or Goobrics yet?
I did try at the beginning of the year to use them, but it's changed so much.
Yes.
Since the beginning of the year. So this is great.
Well, and before it did not work with Google Classroom.
You're right. So I put all their email addresses in, and
no.
Oh my, all that work.
All that work.
Well, yeah. It was okay because I exported it from Google Classroom into a sheet doc, so it was fine, but it was a lot of work trying to figure it out the old way. This is much better.
Yes, yes. And I think when they saw how Google Classroom was working, now I think what would make it really nice if it automatically would score the grade back into Google Classroom. I think that would be good. And the people that make these add-ons, I'm sure, have thought of that. It's just a matter of making that work for them. But yeah, it's been really good. And I don't know, have any of you used G-Class folders at all?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so yeah, with Google Classroom, we don't really need, it's kind of obsolete right now, but G-Class folders, what it did is it basically gave each student their own folder, and then you can they shared their folder with you automatically, so then you had access to their folder, and then all of their work would be in there.
Oh, that's
and cool. Doctopus originally came out to work with G-Class folders, so that so teachers could set up a spreadsheet and basically grade all in one swoop instead of having to go into every individual folder and look at the work. So that's originally why this was even created. And then Andrew Stillman is the creator of this, and he's worked really, really hard to really get it up to speed to work with Google Classroom. So I anticipate it looking a little different. That's why I kind of hesitated to doing a PowerPoint or a slides presentation, because the screens tend to look different depending on what version you're using and all that type of thing. So I was a little hesitant, but I felt it would be a good kind of intro to get everybody on the first the first kind of round of how it works and everything, because I have had a lot of teachers ask me, how does it work with Google Classroom? So I wanted to make sure to kind of show them that. So those are the basics. I apologize I couldn't actually show you what the rubric looks like inside the document, but it just looks like it does in that slide. It's just kind of stretched along the top. That's the only thing that's a little bit different. And then on May 5th for our PD Day, I'm presenting this. So if you want to, I'm actually going to set up a demo assignment and actually go through everything during that session as well. So if you feel like you would benefit from another session, feel free to stop in May 5th. And of course, if you try this in your classroom and it's not working or there's some issue, just let me know, and I can kind of troubleshoot and see what's going on. But I think the slides should help at least give you kind of the step-by-step breakdown of how to do that. Do you guys feel pretty comfortable?
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'll check it out tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
And then if I can't do it, I'll see you May 5th.
Sounds good. And the hardest part really is just setting up your rubric. So have some rubric templates ready to go. And that's kind of the hardest part, and just having that organized so you know where it is, so you can pull it up and attach it. Because it's one of those things that you kind of forget about until it's time to actually start grading, and then you're like, oh yeah, I forgot the rubric. So so that's kind of the big thing. I think it's great that it emails the students the grades and then attaches itself to the assignment. So how great then if you wanted to, you could print out the assignment and sit down with the student and talk them through why you gave them that score, or have the conversation if you wanted to print it out, and it's attached right on there for easy access, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. And then, again, if you have any questions, just let me know, and I will see you guys at the in-service day.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks.
Bye, Dawn.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.